Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Nasir. That was a really wonderful introduction into the surah. And I'm going to go into the next session. And as Imam Nasir mentioned, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He addressed the mushrikeen. And basically the arguments that they were presenting were countered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a very beautiful way in the first few ayat. And again, to emphasize the ridiculous psychology of the disbelievers of the mushrikeen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then asks them questions and tells them to think a little bit about what they're saying. In the next few verses, this is what is mentioned. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, قُلْ. And whenever we have the word قُلْ in the Quran, it refers to the Prophet ﷺ. And the question is obviously, the whole Quran is addressing all of humanity at all times. So why specifically at certain points Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells the Prophet, قُلْ, tell them. The Quran is all telling us, it's all talking to us. So the answer to that basically is, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says قُلْ in any point, then that is something, that is a point that we have to pay particular attention to. And we have to understand that that is a very important point that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is about to make. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ أَإِنَّكُمْ لَتَكْفُرُونَ بِالَّذِي خَلَقَ الْأَرْضَ فِي يَوْمَيْنِ وَتَجْعَلُونَ لَهُ أَنْدَادًا. Look who you are making partners with. Look who you are committing shirk with. أَإِنَّكُمْ لَتَكْفُرُونَ. Are you indeed rejecting He who created the earth in 2 days? So even the mushrikeen, they believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They believed that Allah is there. They believed that, on top of all of the other gods or so-called gods that they believed in, that there is one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Allah, He needs helpers, according to their understanding. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling them that, look, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who created the heavens and the earth, the trees and the mountains and the skies and the stars and the planets and the sun and the moon that you believe in, why do you think He needs any kind of helper? Why do you think He needs any kind of assistance? This is folly, and this is stupidity, and this is ridiculous, the thing that you're believing in. So again, قُلْ أَإِنَّكُمْ لَتَكْفُرُونَ بِالَّذِي خَلَقَ الْأَرْضَ فِي يَوْمَيْنِ. Tell them, O Prophet of Allah, are you indeed rejecting He who created the earth in 2 days, وَتَجْعَلُونَ لَهُ أَنْدَادًا, and you are making for Him equals? You are making for Him equals, meaning you are committing shirk with Him. ذَلِكَ رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. That is the Lord of the worlds. The one that you are associating partners with, He is the Lord of the worlds. He doesn't need any partners. He doesn't need any help. He doesn't need any assistance. Therefore, you should not be committing any kind of shirk with Him. And then it goes on to describe the creation of the mountains and the earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَجَعَلَ فِيهَا رَوَاسِيَ مِنْ فَوْقِهَا. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made in it, meaning in the earth, rawasi. Rawasi means mountains. Min fawqiha, above it. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made mountains for a reason, and that's mentioned in Surah An-Naba, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the mountains as awtad. Awtad, which is the plural of watad. Watad means nails and pegs. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to stabilize the earth in certain places, He made mountains. So you'll find that wherever there are more earthquakes, you will find more mountains. Okay, you go to California, it's an earthquake area, so there are mountains there. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to stabilize the earth, as pegs on the earth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created the mountains. وَجَعَلَ فِيهَا رَوَاسِيَ مِنْ فَوْقِهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He made the mountains above the earth. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has basically shown us these mountains. He has created these mountains for many reasons. One of them, what I've just mentioned. The other reason is for us to wonder at the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to think how great must that Allah be who created such huge mountains, to marvel at the beauty of nature. وَجَعَلَ فِيهَا رَوَاسِيَ مِنْ فَوْقِهَا وَبَارَكَ فِيهَا. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He blessed the earth He put barakah in the earth. وَقَدَّرَ فِيهَا أَقْوَاتَهَا, and He estimated in it its aqwat, the rizq, the sustenance of all of the creation. So Allah, He has, according to the needs of humanity, according to the needs of His creation, He has made the sustenance. So He has made the sustenance for even the insects that are, crawling around in the earth. And He made the sustenance for the carnivores, the lions and the tigers and the leopards and the cheetahs. And He made the sustenance especially for the human beings that eat meat and vegetables and the fruit and all of the things that we have. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created all of these things in anticipation and while knowing how much the creation needs. It is mentioned that there are, even in 1 square foot of land, there are millions and millions of organisms and bacteria and insects, even in 1 square foot, and all of them are being provided rizq and sustenance by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So who did that? This is what is mentioned here. وَقَدَّرَ فِيهَا أَقْوَاتَهَا. The word aqwat is the plural of qut. Qut, again, the rizq and the sustenance. وَقَدَّرَ فِيهَا أَقْوَاتَهَا فِي أَرْبَعَةِ أَيَّامٍ, and this took place in 4 days. Now this question here is that you have 2 days that were mentioned in the first ayah that I've just recited, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created the earth. He created the earth first, okay, meaning the matter of the earth or the shape of the earth basically was created in the first place, and then after that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the skies on top of the earth, and that creation of the skies, it took place in another 2 days, even though it says here 4 days, but it is 4 days in addition to the other 2 days that were mentioned here. So you can say that maybe the creation of the earth took place in 2 days, and then the creation of the skies and also some of the creation of the earth took place in the next 4 days. Okay, next 2 days equaling a total of 4 days. So it is 4 days so far. And then after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions the creation of the earth again, and that is actually in Surah Al-Nazi'at, وَالْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ دَحَاهَا. And in another 2 days, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created and beautified the earth, and He made the earth very, very beautiful in terms of the landscaping and the trees and the fields and the grass and the flowers and so on and so forth. So, وَقَدَّرَ فِيهَا أَقْوَاتَهَا فِي أَرْبَعَةِ أَيَّامٍ. He estimated and He specifically, with precision, He put inside the earth the aqwat, the rizq and the sustenance, fi arba'ati ayyam, in 4 days, sawa al-nisa'ilin. This portion of the ayah, it has 2 meanings. Sawa al-nisa'ilin, that these 4 days that have been mentioned here by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they were complete 4 days. And who is this answer being given to? Lisa'ilin. And many Jews used to come to the Prophet ﷺ and ask him questions about the creation. Okay, and according to some Mufassirin, these verses were revealed in response to those questions. So sawa al-lisa'ilin means here that the 4 days that we're talking about, they were complete 4 days, lisa'ilin, for the people who are asking. And another interpretation of this is that it is related to the rizq that has just been mentioned just before this. That the rizq that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, the sustenance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created in equal measure for everybody. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't, give priority to one or the other. The rizq and the sustenance has been made equally, and each one is deserving of the rizq and the sustenance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And particularly people who ask you, who are needy, sawa'an lisa'ilin, sa'il means a person who's asking, they are also worthy of it, and you should also give them a share of your food also. Do not deprive them of the food. sawa'an lisa'ilin. ثم استوى إلى السماء وهي دخان فقال لها وللأرض ائتيا طوعا أو كرها قالتا أتينا طائعين. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He went to the skies. Then He went to the skies, or the word istiwa, it means equaled. Equaled, but here it means he turned to the sky and he paid his attention to the sky. And this question about istiwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we hear the question istiwa al-arsh, ar-Rahman wa al-arsh istawa. And this question comes up particularly from youths who browse websites and so on. What does it mean by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sitting on the arsh? And he equaled himself on the arsh. He balanced himself on the arsh. What does it mean? So the best thing for a layperson is to basically believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He is. نُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ كَمَا يَلِيقُ بِشَأْنِهِ. We have iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He is worthy to be believed in. And that's it, for the layperson. Now if you were to go to get specific aqidah classes and to sit with a scholar and spend a year or so or 2 years to learn the fundamentals of aqidah, then you can go and delve into this nitty-gritty of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, the kayfiyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether He is everywhere or whether He is in the skies only, and so on and so forth. The best thing for a layperson is to say, نُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ, we have iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, كَمَا يَلِيقُ بِشَأْنِهِ, as He is, we believe in Him. Now, similar to this are words in the Quran like Yadullah, the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the saq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the shin of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How is it? We do not know. We do not know, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has mentioned very clearly in the Quran, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. There is nothing similar to Him. And when there is nothing similar to Him, you cannot compare anything to Him, then how can you describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The question of even the Prophet ﷺ seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the night of Mi'raj, it is highly questionable whether the Prophet actually saw Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not. And according to some riwayat, when the Prophet ﷺ was even asked about the Laylatul Mi'raj and seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, Nurun anna arahu. He is Nur, how can I see Him? So even the Prophet ﷺ did not see Him fully as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, but in the hereafter we will be able to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this will be a special blessing for the people of Jannah. It is mentioned in a hadith that the people in Jannah, they'll be enjoying themselves and they will have everything that they could desire in terms of the blessings, the ni'am, the palaces, and everything a person could ever desire, he will be getting that thing. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will address all the people of Jannah, and He will say to them, "O people of Jannah, are you happy?" And they will say, "Yes, of course we're happy." And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say to them, "How about if I make you even more happier?" So they will think that how could we be even more happier than we already are? It is impossible, because we are in the ultimate pleasure, ultimate happiness, ultimate peace, ultimate relaxation that has already been given to us. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will separate the curtains between Himself and the people of Jannah, and when the people will see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of the other blessings that they've been enjoying for so long, they will seem nothing in comparison to seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is something that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He bless us with, and this is something that we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for, that we are blessed with seeing Him as He is, so that we can be amongst those people who enjoy the vision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while we are in the paradise. So in any case, ثُمَّ اسْتَوَى إِلَى السَّمَاءِ, then He turned to the sky. So however He turned, however He paid attention, that is كَمَا يَلِيقُ بِشَأْنِهِ, we believe in it however He does. وَهِيَ دُخَانٌ, while the sky was in a gaseous form. Dukhan actually means smoke. So the sky was in a gaseous form, it was in a smoke form. فَقَالَ لَهَا وَلِلْأَرْضِ ائْتِيَا طَوْعًا أَوْ كَرْهًا, and He said to the sky and to the earth, ائْتِيَا, come, طَوْعًا أَوْ كَرْهًا, either you're going to come in obedience or you're going to be forced into coming. So the question is, what does this mean? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands somebody to do something, He commands the earth to do something, He commands the sky to do something. So it is impossible for them to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just needs to say something and it happens. So why this? So some scholars say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using metaphorical terms to show the obedience of the heavens and earth to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not that the earth and the heaven were actually given the ability to speak, or were given a choice to obey or disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is basically using metaphorical terms to show that these things are in complete submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And other scholars say, no, it actually happened in reality, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded and asked the question that, are you going to obey or disobey? And the earth, the heavens and the earth, they said, yes, we're going to obey and we're going to come. قَالَتَا أَتَيْنَا طَائِعِينَ. And both of them said, the heavens and the earth said, that we have come in the state of submission and obedience to you, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. طَائِعِينَ, from the word ita'a, to be obedient. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created, okay, so first Allah created the earth and the basically the shape of the earth, and then He created, in another 2 days, He created the heavens, and then in another 2 days, and this is the last 2 days that have been mentioned, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now created the heavens and the earth and beautified both of them in the last 2 days. Okay, so in a total of 6 days, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the heavens and the earth. Now the question is, why 6 days? When we hear in the Quran all the time, إِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ شَيْئًا أَن يَقُولَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونَ. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to do something, He just says to it, kun, be, and it becomes, it happens, it comes into existence. From nothing to existence, all Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala needs to do is say, kun. He doesn't even need to say that. His intention makes something come into existence. So why 6 days? And was it the 6 days that we understand? Because if the skies and the heaven and the sun has not even been created, how can we call it 6 days when the 6 days that we know of are basically contains 24 hours, and every hour contains 60 minutes, every minute 60 seconds, and so on. So how can we understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created everything in 6 days when these things had not even been created yet? So firstly, the first answer to the first question is that why 6 days in the first place? So the scholars say that when you are about to do something that is really important, then you should take your time. Just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He took His time in this creation of the heavens and the earth in 6 days, when He could have just said kun fayakun. It could have just come into existence by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just saying kun. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He took 6 days to tell humanity and to inform them that when you are doing something important, take your time. As for the 6 days, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِنَّ يَوْمًا عِنْدَ رَبِّكُمْ كَأَلْفِ سَنَةٍ مِمَّا تَعُدُّونَ. One day, according to your Lord, is like 1,000 of your years. 1,000 of your years. So it's quite possible that the 6 days that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, if one day is equal to 1,000 years, so it's quite possible that it could have taken 6,000 of our years that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the heavens and the earth. This whole process that we might call the Big Bang or whatever, however it came into existence, maybe it took 6,000 years based upon that Quranic ayah that we've just heard. And also we need to understand the concept of time that we have. It's a very limited concept of time. Okay, so for example, if you go to other planets, one day might be 35 hours long. 1 year might be 400, 500 days long. Okay, and this is just outside of our Earth. We understand 1 day to be 24 hours, and 1 week to be 7 days, and 1 hour to be 60 minutes. Why? Because this is because of our physical location in the solar system. That's why we understand that to be that way. But the concept of time to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is different. And to understand that, all we have to do is look at other planets in our solar system, and the concept of time there is completely different. So the 6 days, it is not necessarily the 6 days that we understand. It could be something completely different. And also it could be the 6 days that we understand also. So it has to be understood from both perspectives. Okay, so that is something that we need to keep in mind. فَقَضَاهُنَّ سَبْعَ سَمَاوَاتٍ فِي يَوْمَيْنِ وَأَوْحَى فِي كُلِّ سَمَاءٍ أَمْرَهَا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created, or He accomplished the 7 skies in 2 days. Okay, so the this is the final 2 days, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created the 7 skies, or He completed the 7 skies in 2 days. وَأَوْحَى فِي كُلِّ سَمَاءٍ أَمْرَهَا. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then, He put in every sky His order. So each of the skies and the solar systems that He's created, the planets that He's created, every single one has been given its order. So we see that the sun, it comes up at the right time, at exactly the right microsecond. Okay, it is never delayed, it never comes early. Okay, and the moon, it will go through its phases as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told it to, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instructed it to, it will happen. The earth, it rotates on its axis and also rotates around the sun in 365 point or 365.2 whatever days it is. That is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered it to do, and this is how it will continue to do until the Day of Judgment. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created the heavens and the earth, and each of the stars, each of the planets, each of the skies has been given rules and regulations to follow, and they will continue to follow those rules and regulations until the Day of Judgment. وَأَوْحَى فِي كُلِّ سَمَاءٍ أَمْرَهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He put a command into every single of those skies. وَزَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِيحَ وَحِفْظًا. And we created the skies with masabih, with lanterns, with lights. What are those masabih? The skies, the stars. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created and beautified the heavens with the stars. Unfortunately, because of light pollution, we do not appreciate the beauty of the stars. Okay? But if you really want to appreciate the beauty of the stars, you should go out into the fields or go back home when the load shedding is taking place, or when your power is out, and go into this on a clear night. Just look outside and see how beautiful the stars actually look. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has beautified the stars, the skies with the stars, and also وَحِفْظًا. They are a guardian. They guard the skies from the shaitan, the shayateen that come up to eavesdrop on the angels. So they are a guard for us. And also scientifically, there could be a reason for the stars. You know, all of the whole system of the whole universe, the whole solar system. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created everything in balance. So it's quite possible that the stars are therefore guarding us from something that could be a danger to us. We do not know. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَزَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِيحَ وَحِفْظًا. We created, or we beautified the stars, we beautified the skies of the world with lanterns, meaning the stars, وَحِفْظًا, and they're a guardian. ذَلِكَ تَقْدِيرُ الْعَزِيزِ الْعَلِيمِ. All of this is the determination of the Almighty, the All-Knowing. Everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done, it has been decided from before, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done everything in a beautiful way. So basically, the first few ayat that we've just recited and we've learned, they are asking the mushrikeen that, look, you are disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are committing shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He is the one who has done everything around you, and even you believe in Him. When you are falling into any trouble, when you are sailing in the sea, when you are going through hardship, who do you call? You call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is what they used to do. Whenever they were in any difficulty, they will call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and when they used to come out of those difficulties, they used to go back to committing shirk again. So with these verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressed the mushrikeen and told them that get out of this folly, get out of this foolishness, and start worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.